Hey there everyone! So, before we begin today's episode of Mega Man V, I just figured I'd start with a fun little thought experiment. So, hey, Mega Man's traveling through space, right? Now here's the thing, it looked pretty quick in game, but I'm sure we all know that space travel takes a pretty long time. I mean, even now we can't just move light speed, that would be ridiculous, so Mega Man's journey couldn't possibly be the few seconds we saw in that previous cutscene. So, like I said, I figured it'd be quote-unquote fun to figure out how long it takes for Mega Man to travel from Earth to Jupiter, because of course, Mars is dead, so we don't need to go to his planet. But the rest of the Robot Masters do take place on their own planets. Again, don't need to care about Neptune, he's also dead. Now, because I'm just doing this on a lark, and I'm not good at math or science, I'm just going to make a few assumptions here. So, I'm taking the difference in distances from one planet from the Sun, because, okay, planets, kind of on a big loop. They're not just in a straight line. That's pretty rare for that to happen. Thing is, big loop adds extra math. And I'm sure there's some kind of resource online that says, hey, we're NASA, we know where and when the planets are at any given time. And I'm like, well NASA, that's great, I can't calculate for the year 20XX, very deliberately, I got no clue what year that is. I know it's before the year 2100, and after the year 1999. That's the best I got. So yes, to simplify it, we'll just pretend that I'm getting the correct distance between planets, even though, unless we got really lucky and the planets are literally aligned, probably wouldn't be that distance. Now, part of what enabled this is the fact that Mega Man 3 actually had specifications for the Rush Jet speed. It is 300 kilometers per hour. So, I'm just going to assume that Rush Jet is able to move through space at the same speed as it can move through the Earth's atmosphere, because Dr. Light did some tinkering. He could probably figure out, hey, let's make this dog move through space normally. So I'm just going to say that Rush Jet can also move 300 kilometers per hour in space. Oh yeah, and after he leaves the atmosphere, I'm also going to throw in the assumption that we don't have to worry about time dilation. You know what? I get depressed enough about time dilation when I play Lancer watching Gunbuster, so you know what? I don't need that in Mega Man, so that doesn't exist. We're not just going to lose years upon years just by going through the atmosphere of Earth. No, everything just moves at the same relative speed. So with that out of the way, what is the simple distance between Earth and Jupiter? Again, assuming that we can just draw a straight line, and it's the shortest line possible between the two planets. So, let's see, what's the difference? Here we go. 631 million kilometers. Oh, that's a lot of kilometers to cover with 300 kilometers per hour. So, what does that come up to if I do the calculation? 2,103,333.3 repeating hours, which is about 240 years. Oh, that's it's actually also pretty grim. Okay, well, we need Dr. Light to be alive by the time we get back so we can buy more stuff. So, alright. It's been a few games since Mega Man 3, right? And of course, Dr. Light could probably do better for outfitting Rush for space travel outside of life support and making speed consistent in space so I don't have to do any extra math. Alright, so, Rush Jet from Mega Man 3, old news. 300 kilometers per hour, that's nothing. That's just the safe speed to travel at in a given stage. So, alright, what real-life references can I get? Alright, so NASA's got this thing, right? Parker Space Probe, apparently. I just looked it up. NASA says it's pretty fast. did a rotation around the sun. They say it moves 466,600 kilometers per hour. That sounds pretty fast, I guess. But hey, it's 20XX, and maybe that's 2021, maybe it isn't, I don't know. But no matter what the year actually is, Parker Space Probe, fucking nothing compared to this dog with a rocket strapped to it. So, I'm just going to round up and say that RushJet can move at 500,000 kilometers per hour now, probably only when traveling between stages, because, you know, if you try to do that in a stage, you're going to be paced against a wall. Alright, so, we've got 500,000 kilometers per hour on this dog now, so instead of the depressing estimate of taking 240 years just to get to the first stage in the second half, what's our estimate now? What's the new estimate with this shiny new RushJet? Well, apparently it's about 1,262 hours, or 53 days, rounded up. From here on out, just assume I'm rounding up. It's just easier like that. And I mean, hey, even if I'm rounding up for decimal places below 5, even if I'm rounding up for those, not a bad margin of error. I mean, if you're traveling through space on a dog, you're only rounding up for the decimals. I'm not going to 60 days. I'd say that's pretty good. So hey, doesn't even take Mega Man 2 months to travel to Jupiter. How do you like that, NASA? But anyway, now that we know it's taken just under 2 months for Mega Man to reach Jupiter on a dog, it's time to begin the actual stage. So, Jupiter stage. First off, I like Jupiter's design. The stage is an interesting one. Certainly one I like the aesthetic of, because as you can see, now we can see space in the background. And when this background's in play, that means we can actually jump higher. It's a low gravity stage. Those are usually pretty fun. Usually. This section's a little bit repetitive, though. These enemies can't be hit while they're charging up their attack. They're easy enough to dodge, but, I don't know. I don't like having to wait around for them. The magnet enemies are a little harder to avoid just because they have a trailing shot that travels along the ground. Does have to reach the ground first, though. So hey, do your best to kill them before that happens. Ooh, and they do very good in cramped spaces like this. Let's take him out. So, this is a fairly long stage. Oh, this is I don't remember this enemy appearing very often in the stage. Whatever it is, it's some kind of crab thing. It really likes filling the room with electricity, though. In fact, it left an after effect on the ground when it leaped downwards, so be wary of that. So, you might also be noticing something about the weapon energy. You know, the fact that you heard the weapon energy refill, thank you, Energy Balancer at least, but also the fact that I did not use Mars in this episode, and yet it's actually a little bit empty. So you're probably wondering how that happened, huh? How did I lose photon missiles without actually using photon missiles? Well, here's a design decision that I don't particularly like about Mega Man V. The back half stages, for some reason, I guess because Mega Man's in space, weapon energy doesn't refill when you defeat bosses anymore. You have to go back to Dr. Light's lab to do that. Which, you know, considering my conceit is, it takes time to travel through space, and Mega Man's gonna be gone for a while. You know, it would be silly of me in this LP to go back to Dr. Light's lab until all of the Staroids are defeated. I mean, it took almost 2 months to get from Earth to Jupiter. We can't give the Staroids much more time than that. Or much more time than we're going to give. Because another fun thing about the planets you might know is that they get farther and farther apart the longer you go. So, you know, it's almost 2 months now. It's gonna get worse later. Oh, here's the fun part of the stage. Now it's suddenly an ice level, which I guess makes sense because we're past Earth. Another characteristic of, planets that aren't Earth don't have very good temperatures. They're usually way too hot or way too cold. That's why they're not exactly livable under normal circumstances. But yeah, anyway, back to the weapon energy thing. Not keen on that design choice. So if you're wondering why there was an energy refill option in Dr. Light's shop, that's why. It's because at this point in the game, you don't get weapon energy refills from bosses. Obviously, defeating a boss will automatically fill their own weapon energy, but it would be kind of dumb if that didn't happen. Alright, good job defeating Jupiter. Hope he didn't want to use his weapon yet, because, fuck you can't. But anyway, I guess now that we are in Ice Country, I should mention, this is why I'm not the happiest with Jupiter's stage. It was fun enough in the first half, but yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of just adding in ice physics. I'm glad it gets time to shine in, like, both types of sections of the level, both the, low, grav, and normal portions, but, is unfortunately also in the boss, but to be honest, it doesn't really affect Jupiter that much. Cool design, kind of a tedious fight. He doesn't really do anything else other than this. Don't stay below him or you'll get hit by that, big beam of electricity. Stand still when he's doing it so you don't slip-slide into it, and then he fires a spread shot, which is the same pattern of spread shot every time, so you can probably figure out how to dodge it after the first few attempts. And then, yeah, that's just the fight. Boy, I can't wait to use his weakness against him, so that this fight isn't stupidly slow. One more shot, and he's down. Hoo boy. Well, I mean, maybe you could do some damage with that big electric beam, Jupiter, but, boy. Mega Man spent a month and then some in space just to fight you, and this is the performance you give? If it took 53 days to get to the planet, it should take 53 days to get through the planet. Actually, scratch that. I don't want a single episode of an LP to last 53 days. That would be dumb. Anyway, here's Jupiter's weapon, the Electric Shock. It's just one of those electric hand buzzers, but more so. Anyway, Jupiter's dead, so on to the next planet. Oh boy?